school teacher and a researcher?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna mute this tab. Hopefully it lets me keep this tab open. If it doesn't let me keep this tab open and we can't talk with the tab open, then I'll have to close it because I'm not gonna jeopardize the stream for, just to see the live stream. Oh, I can open it on my phone. I'll close this out and I'll open it up on my phone. Let me do that so I
All
can
right.
see the chat, you know? Okay. But
Excellent.
hey,
Yeah.
guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. I have a new guest back with me today, someone who's been watching my show for a while. He's a fan, but he's also a school teacher and he's a researcher. And today's topic is going to be on consciousness and the last global reset. And I'd like to welcome a good friend that I've been talking to through email for a while now. I have a Ray from California with me, and happy 4th of July, everybody. Hey, Ray, thanks for coming on. How are you, man?
Rob, I'm doing great. This is my first ever podcast, and I'm now already on a short list of more than 1,000 people that includes James Rink, Tony Rodriguez, and Laura Eisenhower. This is totally exciting. I want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to all Americans at home, abroad, off planet, throughout the galaxy, and beyond. Because of the holiday, I have a special tie, and also I have a special tie. Out here in California, I graduated from Agoura High School, which is the same high school that second gentleman, Mr. Doug Emhoff, the husband of Vice President Harris, went to. He graduated from there too. So happy 4th of July, Mr. Emhoff. I'm a Charger too. Come on, Mr. Emhoff, you know the song. So next time you're in town, Mr. Emhoff, why don't you come down with me to Italian Deli on Canaan Road? We'll get some sandwiches. And this is a very exciting day, Rob. I'm so excited to be here. I just don't know how excited Mr. Emhoff is going to be after I spend the next hour talking about aliens.
Yeah, that's what our real reality is all about, and that's what people don't realize. People think it's about the government, politics, and stuff like that. That's just a ruse, The real truth is what's going on off planet and what's going on in the shadow government, who's controlling us, and like what's going on. Why have there been resets? There's so many more questions we can ask about our world, what's going on around us, the mysteriousness of life, other than some stupid politics or government games that they want to play with us, that they just want to show us more ways to control us. That's what they do. They're puppeters. They can, and we're puppets, and they try to control the puppets. Well, guess what? This puppet's cutting his strings. So I have news for them. So that's kind of my thing. I'm not, I'm moving past the matrix. I see the matrix and I see beyond it. I'd like to move past it, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally, Rob. And you're actually helping all of us see past through the matrix. So way to go. We're going to follow your lead. And also, I want to say exopolitics is probably where it's at.
Yeah,
Exopolitics.
I agree.
All right. So as you mentioned, Rob, I am a teacher. I have a couple of college degrees and a few credentials, and I've spent more than 30 years in the profession and in institutional learning. Few things concern me like having students come to class talking about stuff they heard on the internet. Having said all that, I am proud to be here today to talk about some stuff I heard on the internet. Now, this is all just for fun and entertainment purposes only. Just me and my friend Rob talking about how our previous worldwide free energy, free healing civilization was probably destroyed by extraterrestrials, and now we exist like cattle on their luge farm. That's all. If this is not your cup of tea, Rob has 1,000 other shows you can watch. I also want to say, if you're one of my former students and you're not 18 yet, you should probably go watch a video or something. This is not for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
I make all my videos not for people under 18. So that's what's
yeah.
one thing I do. All my videos are not for children. Like I make sure I say that. YouTube, you can like really like, I don't know why but I mean like no kids are going to be interested in these subjects. You know what I mean? I know I wasn't when I was a kid, but some people are. I've had some people on my show that said they've started researching when they were like 14 years old, 17 years old. And I'm like, kudos to you. I was thinking about women and watermelon at 14 years old. I wasn't driving a car. I wasn't thinking about extraterrestrials and the bigger problems of life. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like it's just, yeah. But
Well,
but
you did start listening to Art Bell when you were quite young, and that's
21. Yeah, I
difference.
was 21 or 22 when I started listening to Art Bell.
But
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. Your show is not for children, and
yeah,
it's barely for anyone who's not oriented and well versed a little bit. You have to like kind of know your stuff to tune in. because it's not part of our regular institutional learning and stuff. But I want to say, this leads right into my next comment. It is great, Rob, that the Typical Skeptic podcast provides a forum for learning like this, where we can share ideas and use our collective discrimination to sort out what's really going on here. And so now I'd like to let the audience know I've got 3 parts of my presentation. First, the powers of individual and collective human consciousness. Second, the reset of civilization on Earth and my list of videos, which Rob is going to post in the description later. And then the last part is science fiction stand-up, which includes jokes that don't seem like jokes when you look at them from a secret space program perspective or a 4D perspective.
I love that. That sounds really cool.
All right. I'm excited about it too. All right. So first of all, here we go. I skipped a page. Ever since I went to school in the 1970s, we were told that we had to learn the metric system. The whole world already used it, and the United States was going to switch too. And here we are in the year 2024, and we're in the same position, and I'm still saying the same thing to my students. Next, I'm Italian American. I don't speak on behalf of any other ethnic group. I do endeavor to speak about them respectfully. When I was going to school in the 1970s, and certainly when I started teaching in the 90s, we were told that we needed to stop using the term Indian for Native Americans. Well, this year in 2024, the new social studies book I taught from still uses the term Indian. Next, I could probably go on like this for a long time, but if I fast forward to the part when I take a good look at what was really going on with the moon, okay, that's when the programming got glitchy, and your audience would understand that I went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things we could say about the moon, but that's for another video. So
it seems like they have bases up there. It seems like they're drilling for helium-2 or helium-3, people have said, and I'm not sure exactly what they want to do with that. But it seems like there's either civilizations on the moon. Some people say there's actual civilizations on the moon. Some people say there's just bases on the moon. I have a friend, his name was Miles Moonbases. He used to take pictures of the moon. He had a really good camera. He just happened to stumble across a camera that was like taking good pictures of the moon. And he was getting some really good shots of some shit that was going on up there, which made him like wake up and see like the bigger picture of reality. And he still wonders this day how he got that kind of camera. It was like how somebody can get a glitch on a phone and record UFOs with it or something. Like it was just like a glitchy camera, like a one-off that like happened to work for a miraculous purpose. Like he was able to take pictures of the moon. You know what I mean? Like, and then he tried to get other cameras and it didn't work. So I can't even remember what kind of camera it was, to be honest. But it's like for example, I had a guy on my show. His name was Gary Arnold. He was using a track phone to record EVP voices, and he was talking to entities through it. They, and it was a certain kind of Alcatel track phone that was able to get voices from EVPs. But then he tried with other phones, and it didn't work. So, I feel like sometimes they put out this technology and hope that somebody's gonna get a hold of it and like do something with it. I don't know, or it's just a one-off. Like. I don't know. It's interesting though to say for sure.
Well, it sounds to me like maybe that guy got the camera so that we could all discuss it today. Because think about how many people just heard about that. So it might have been like specifically sent to him, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because everyone's trying to get to disclosure. So
I agree.
All right. Well, I'd like to continue speaking now about consciousness. In general, it's not something that has been part of institutional learning, so I'm new to the subject. You and your audience are not only probably familiar with the topic, but I may need to catch up with all of you. And I'd like to start with my take on individual consciousness and then our human collective conscious. There used to be a band called the Beatles, and there was a guy named George Harrison, may he rest in peace. As far as I know, he was a good guy. Maybe you, Rob, and Pink Bella Aloha can tell us more about him sometime. Yeah. I heard this quote from him, and I believe he heard it from his teacher. It goes something like, we all want the forest to be green, but we have to start with our own tree. So I'm learning that we come into this world and we get programmed. We learn from our families and schools and our media now more than ever. I'm also learning that we come into the world with programming. Some beliefs are so deep in our subconscious that we are not even aware of them. Now, there are ways to change such programming through things like meditation and hypnosis, but also through self-hypnosis and affirmations. My opinion, humans are supposed to learn about and to use the powers of our mind individually and collectively. We're creating our world all the time, every day, and we're not even paying attention to what we're doing. We can program and reprogram our own minds and change our lives. We can heal ourselves. So long as your intent is for the highest good, you can change your world on the outside. You can start by changing your world on the inside. When you look in a mirror, you don't change your appearance by putting your hand on the glass and trying to adjust the image. And that's where affirmations come in. All right, here I go on affirmations. You don't even have to know what the problem is or where it started. Affirmations act like antibodies. They don't have to know anyone's name or which germs have to go. Affirmations just get in there and get it done. On the bottom of the bibliography that Rob is going to post, I sent you a video that changed my life, only I had to wait more than half a century for it. I learned about the affirmations from Mrs. Scoville Shin and used versions that work with me. Instead of listening to music or someone else saying affirmations, write affirmations specifically for your own life and say them aloud in your own voice. Do you want your subconscious to hear you? Your subconscious recognizes the vibration of your voice best. Do you want your subconscious to hear you? Fill your mind with the affirmations. Is your mind filled with chatter? Smother the chatter in affirmations. Have you heard of the sensory deprivation tank or flotation tank like in the movie Altered States?
Yeah.
Well, when your mind's in a state like that, when everything on the outside is shut down, that is a good time for affirmations. Driving a car, doing chores, walking to the office, getting in that groove is another good time to access your inner program and bombard it with affirmations. If you can sing songs, you can remember and repeat affirmations. All right.
I just used affirmations today on my way back from my run. I use them every day. I found a channel on YouTube. Maybe the audience would find this beneficial too. I use Rockstar Affirmations. It's they use like a binaural beat type affirmation. So what happens is they have one affirmation playing in one ear and one affirmation playing in another ear, and then you hear a third affirmation, and it feels like it's playing in the center. But I don't know how that could be possible. I'm still trying to figure that out. But you definitely hear three different. You hear. So it makes me think we have a listening device in the center of our mind, because I'm telling you, like, this is weird. Like when you put on these affirmations, you'll definitely hear three. You'll hear one in this ear. You'll hear one in this ear. And I usually listen to the money affirmations. I listen to there's one. It's called "I'm open to receiving money in new ways that I've never imagined." And then there's another one. I can't remember which one it is. But it's really interesting, and they have all kinds of ones. They have ones for getting your health back. They have ones for losing weight. They have ones for all like every kind of all kinds of stuff. I like Rockstar Affirmations. What's the one you found? I'd love to like try it. Like, is it?
So the video I discovered, I think it's like the last one on my list. It's I can't remember her name right now, Lauren Scoville Shin, it's a short 20-minute video, but it has a lot of affirmations that are generic, but when I heard them the first time, I'm all, gee, how come I don't think like this? That's not the way I think all the time. This is so simple and so easy. So, and I'm glad you mentioned the affirmations. I know you mentioned them on your program before, but I feel like, there might be people who used to be like me and don't know about them. They're looking for an answer. The answer's inside. Use your own affirmations.
Well, a lot of times people are programmed negatively. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like, and a lot of times, a lot of us are programmed negatively because of everything that we're hearing in society. The news is constantly pumping out fear. They want to keep you in a fear mind state so you don't manifest. Like, because when you're in a fear mind state, you don't manifest. And I'm guilty of it myself. I'm always worried about where's my next dollar going to come from, or how am I going to get money? And then I don't manifest. But if I'm happy, and I think positively and I think clearly, money tends to manifest a little bit easier. It's just hard to stay in that mind state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that's the trick of it, I guess.
I've heard in other places, like you grab onto some memory that makes you really happy, or you think about someone you really love a lot, and then that's when you build your manifestation idea. And then I also want to say, when you talked about those recordings, Rob, and the two sounds going on either side, it tells me that the people who are making those recordings understand how it works. And the other thing that they probably understand is how, our brain, the human brain on Earth here, we have two hemispheres and it's connected by a corpus callosum. But other brains in other beings are not designed that way. So it shows that the humans making the recording know how this works and how they're affecting it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, Rob, I'm so glad to hear your comments, because it's almost like you read my speech, because it leads right into my next thing. So we're really of the same mind today. It's wonderful. Let me continue, if I may. So I started with one a long time ago. One of my first ones was from a YouTuber named Aaron D. In each of his videos, he would repeat, "I am an immortal spiritual being leading a temporary human existence."
Oh, that's Aaron Doty. I know him. Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched.
yeah. You know that guy. Yes.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to believe, and I haven't stopped repeating it. And then I added one from my QHHT therapist. He said to say, "I am in clear and direct communication with my higher self." That was a good one, because at the time I didn't know about a higher self. So it sure was hard to believe that it existed. I have since added, "I am grateful that this day comes from the universe with grace and ease. I now use the field glasses of the spirit. Reveal to me the great magician's storehouse. Nothing is too good for me." That was another one to repeat a lot, because so many of us have been told otherwise when we were young, that, it's too good for you. No, nothing is too good for anyone. Nothing is too good for you. So, and my spirit guide sent me an affirmation that may be effective for me, but it also works on the sacral chakra. I think it's the yellow one. "I forgive anyone who ever said anything bad to me or did anything bad to me." And it was particularly helpful for me, because apparently I had some past life stuff to deal with.
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead.
What kind of past life stuff were you dealing with?
So, as you can imagine, before I started this journey towards spiritual enlightenment, before I turned 50, I always kind of was curious about, I got a lot of good things going for me. What's this weird streak in my life going on? And so I started consulting some psychics. And then you hear the same thing that, pretty much all of us would have heard. In past lives, you were hurt and you were injured. And, and I guess when your time was up, you remembered that pain and you brought with you in the next life. But then sometimes we overlook that, we've been around so many times. Sometimes we're the perpetrators of this stuff. So, if you go back and, if you go across all time, space, and dimensions, and you say, you know what, it was fun while we did it. It was a good game, but, let's call it quits and move on. Let's just forget about it. We did the best we could. Now's the time to shake hands and be friends and move on. So I forgive anyone who ever said anything bad to me or did anything bad to me across all time, space, and dimensions. And then I learned from your show, Rob, some protective affirmations. I send any negative energies 1,000 different directions, 1,000 miles away. That's one I learned from your show. Anything that is not of the light shall leave. I learned that from your show. And here's one I'm practicing. Anything that is not of the universe's plan and does not float everyone's boat shall dissolve and go back to source. Now, when it comes to our collective conscious, which we all participate in and share, whether we are aware of it or not, imagine how much power we would have if it's more than one mind. It's like having more than one person on your team in a game of tug of war. There's some examples of this in history. For example, Gandhi did that a lot when he would have these sit-ins and meditate peacefully. That actually changed things a lot quicker than engaging with the British in a military fashion. Martin Luther King, by sending his messages clearly to everyone over the television, that helped everyone move forward from where we were at those times. And there's another thing called the 4-minute mile, when some fella back in the early 20th century ran a 4-minute mile for the first time and everyone knew it could be done. Well, that changed the way humans approach running, for example. So those are just some examples of how a collective human conscious, can you imagine if a bunch of people all said the same affirmation, what kind of power it would command? So I got some affirmations for us tonight. Tonight, I would like to suggest some affirmations created just for this show. My hope is that more minds are on board, sending out this vibration, and then sooner these things will manifest. Rob, I know you know about med beds.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can all agree med beds are good. Med beds heal people. There's nothing wrong with med beds. We should have more of them. But for now, let's be grateful for the med beds that are out there. So here's an affirmation. Thank you for the med bed technology that already helps people. And then if the universe hears that and they say, wow, everyone likes this med bed stuff, let's send them some more. Okay. How about this affirmation? Thank you for the free energy that comes from the universe with grace and ease. Free energy is good. We like it. The universe will send us more if we like it. How about this one? Thank you for helping our leaders hasten disclosure for the benefit of all.
So I see what you're saying. So you're putting these things into existence so they'll manifest.
Yeah, right on, exactly. And if I was going to actually repeat these 3 times, but I didn't want to put your audience to sleep. But if people are listening to the video and they want to play, press replay, go back 20 seconds, say them a couple of times, that'd be great. But there's one I got here for you, Rob. I give thanks to the universe for the Typical Skeptic podcast that brings important information to all of us. Because for sure, Rob, your podcast changed my life, and I know it's changing other people's lives too.
Wow, that means a lot. That really does. I didn't realize how much it changes people. It really means a lot when I hear stuff like that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, keep up the good work. Right on. If there's anything you'd like to ask about or talk about in this part before I go on to the videos, I want to thank you so much for letting me present what I did so far.
No, that's good. This is all really good stuff. I think people are liking it. Just go ahead. You can keep going.
All right. So now, when you get to see the list of the videos, I'm going to tell you very quickly what those videos are about, and you can decide if you want to see them. The first one is really what I called Rob about like months ago. I'm all, Rob, there's this lady named Michelle Gibson, and she's talking about the last reset. And I was hoping that you'd have her on her show, but then Rob said, hey, you want to be on my show? So I'm happy to present what I know. This video I posted, the first one, is the last of a 4-part series. Michelle Gibson discusses how the last cataclysm or reset probably took place and how Earth and its free energy grid system was hijacked. And to be brief, and I'm not an expert. I don't claim to represent Ms. Gibson, although she does a wonderful job. Here's what I understand. Earth is a circuit board. And if you look at a city from above and you look at a circuit board, they are remarkably similar. So it is suggested that the lighthouses and star forts and buildings themselves were all part of circuit board Earth. Then a magician, whose initials are AC, opened a portal at the same time as the Philadelphia experiment in 1942. And there was a feedback in the energy grid, creating a vibration that caused liquefaction to occur, which is one way to create a mud flood. Another way to make the Earth flood, as suggested by Tony Rodriguez on the Ileana the Star Traveler show, is to use the moon. The moon is a tractor, and if you move it closer to Earth, there's going to be flooding. But anyway, Michelle Gibson spends some time discussing how sound played an important part, and she also does an excellent job of like pointing out architecture and buildings and infrastructure all around the Earth. It all looks the same because it was all there before, and our history books may not be telling us those things. I believe, as I go on through my video list, we believe there might have been, well, I believe it, sure. I believe it, sure. I think Michelle Gibson is also suggesting that there might have been some extraterrestrials involved, but I just saw a John Whitberg video in the last week or two, and he was saying that some of the party from Mod Talk had something to do with it too, how they took care of the giant civilization, and maybe a lot of the stuff that we see left over is from the giants. But anyway,
that's a good point. Yeah, yeah.
So that's
I still think that like a lot of the megaliths and monoliths that we see was done with a lot of technology, because I feel like even if there were giants, even if there were big people, like you would still need technology. Like for the Great Pyramid, for example, like those blocks are like tons. You know what I mean? They're like you would need like insane technology plus giants. Like you would need like amazing technology that we can't even grasp right now. Maybe
right.
technology using sound or something like that, or vibration. Like
Yeah.
how the Lithuanian guy, he was like a 120-pound Lithuanian guy who moved all
Yes.
those bricks
Coral
of
Gables.
Coral
Yes.
Castle, or not the bricks, but he moved all the
Yeah.
whatever the Coral Castle is made of coral. It's called Coral
Yeah.
Castle. But I mean, like he that's a modern megalith, and he like they said, he was a 120-pound immigrant guy, and he somehow did it, and he didn't want anybody to see how he was doing it. He would work at night a lot of times. And I was hoping I might be going down to Florida for that conference. If I can get enough money together, I'm going to go. I mean, most of it's taken care of, but I have to still get some money together for traveling and stuff. But I was hoping maybe I could go see the Coral Castle while I'm down there, because I'm not sure where it's at compared to where I'm going to be, but I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what it's all. I haven't even saw. I don't know.
Yeah. I hope you get to see it. I hope I get to see it someday. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
When I studied a little art history when I was in college, and there would be paintings of all facets of life. But you know what we don't see is, how did they build, for example, some of those amazing buildings in Europe? They don't have paintings of projects that took 20 to 40 or even 100 years where they got giant blocks on the backs of donkeys and carts, and they're dragging them miles to put them in the middle of the city. They don't show any of that stuff. And there's no one ever writes about that stuff. So, the suggestion that, it was all done with sound, it was probably done before, the history books that we have, there's something to that perhaps. And there's enough researchers out there who do that kind of stuff and tell about that kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, right on, Rob. So there's another video by Michelle Gibson, the second one. Check this out. She examines historical fires. Now, most of us have heard of the Chicago fire and the San Francisco fire and even the fire in London, but there were hundreds of city fires. They were all over the place. And I never even really knew about them until I saw her video. And then also this one here by Howdy McCoskey. I think Howdy McCoskey has been on your show before.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
Twice. Yeah.
Yeah. That guy's pretty fun. Anyway, my third video is him discussing the fires that devastated cities around the world. What really caused them, what really caused the damage. And he also points out, he's all, if you hear like there's a city down the road and it's burning and there's another one that's burning, you would do something to like get ready. There's a fire coming. But anyway, he asked a lot of good questions.
Yeah. What was the purpose of these fires? Do they know, or what are they saying? What are they speculating?
Well, I would be paraphrasing, and I don't claim to understand what they're thinking. And I would certainly be mixing in my own ideas, but remember, I had a good one. Human beings, when you compare us to other beings out there, we're this great cocktail of DNA. We have all these powers. And like you say, people keep trying to control us and restrict our powers and things like that. And so, human beings are really the prize, and they're feeding off our illusion and everything like that. So if you can control the planet and you can control the humans on it, you could just feed off of us. Rob, I think I might have lost track of your original question there. Am I on target here?
The fires.
Oh, the fire. So I think the fires were done by energy beam weapons, directed energy beam weapons. And I do mention that in some of these other videos that are coming up. It's a good thing we have a pause here because my papers are out of order. Excuse me a second. Where are you? Okay, skip it. Okay, here we go. So I talked about, I think they use directed energy weapons, but on John Whitberg's video, he was saying that they actually use nuclear weapons. And when you look at the videos and they show you these pictures, it doesn't look like fire damage. It looks like stuff that we've seen in movies, when the special effects guys get these great ideas, how lasers look, when they vaporize things. So take a look at the pictures. Everyone should make up their own minds. Hey, we are just having fun here. We're not writing any history books here. We're just asking some questions. If I'm wrong about any of these things, then the truth will surface, and then I will also learn, and I'll be happy to learn about it too. But in the meantime, let's eliminate some of these things. Number 4, there's a lady named the Brush Junkie, and she discusses the Lahaina fires. Like the fire in Paradise, California, whatever has been going on for centuries looks like it's still going on. They're still burning up towns for whatever reason. I know you had a guest on your show in the summer who talked about the Lahaina fires, and she had a different take on it, from an even higher perspective. And then I'd like to suggest, the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, all of a sudden after several hundred years, the belfry catches fire. Why are these things happening?
I know, right? It seems like it's all planned out by some nefarious reason, right? Or you would think that like it all seems too. It's all too. It seems like they're showing their cards. You know what I mean? It's like a poker game, and they're showing their cards, but they're still winning. Because they have the upper hand. If that makes any sense.
No, I think it makes sense, but I'm sure you've heard this from your other guests before. I think that they're on the run, and it feels like they have the upper hand, but you used to be a wrestler. I'm sure that there's moves where some guy thinks that he's got the upper hand, and all of a sudden, he's on the mat and there's 3 taps and he's out. I think we're right there. I think, pretty soon we're going to have their jugular, and then we're going to have, the free energy and the med beds, and, we're going to have communication off planet, which is going to be great. Direct communication, that is.
I hope so. I really do. I'm skeptical, but I hope so. Because I just like, I want it to happen. I really do. I really do. I really want it to happen. Like I'm just so sick of these evil people like doing this stuff over and over and over again. You know what I mean? It's like, it's sometimes there's no words for what they do. It makes, I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah, there's so much pain and they cause so much pain and they're doing it on purpose because that's how they feed. And if, I don't claim to be an expert, but if we can all just focus on love and if we don't forget, who we love and what we love, and if we're in the moment and we stay present in the moment, we can get past this stuff that is not necessary. Whatever is not of the light shall leave.
I
Whatever.
like that. You have a really good attitude. You have a really positive attitude.
Well, I'm trying really hard. And I also know that you're doing the show. This is like, one of the reasons why you're, existing is to do this show and broaden, bridge the communication off planet. I know that you want this, and this is why I reached out to you. So I'm getting up to you on my list, by the way, Rob. So in number 5, my video number 5, Brush Junkie discusses suspicious damage to a church in Maui. And she also, I think, in some way talks about what temperature does metal melt? We could talk about some of the weird things in the fire, like, all the plastic trash cans were collected before the public was allowed to go back to their residences. And how come there's cars that are melted and they're surrounded by trees and the trees are fine? That's for another video. Lots of people have done videos about that stuff, but it's the same stuff we've been just talking about. And then finally, Rob, you of all people, my video number 6, Typical Skeptic Podcast, presents an intriguing look at a change from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. Now, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but you know who I'm talking about. He's the guy that has all the numbers about 9/11 and the latitude and the numbers of the planes. That was like so much fun to watch. That guy really knows his stuff. I wish I could
Robert
remember.
Sullivan?
It sounds like the gentleman. Yeah, he's got dark hair. And
Oh wait, dark hair. I'm trying to think. Because Robert Sullivan's bald, but
oh,
he's a Freemason. But I'm trying to think who.
okay, it might have been him. I might have the hair wrong. But it
He
sounds
was
like the guy.
talking about it was more like a nefarious thing about he thought that the age of
Yeah.
Aquarius was going to be more nefarious. He was talking about the Gota Mendez and this Aleister Crowley, this Native American curse that was put on. Is that what you're talking about?
So I think that might be the same guy. Is he the same guy that made a suggestion about the Statue of Liberty maybe not being the Lady Liberty that we thought she was, but maybe like,
Yeah. I'm not sure. I can't. Oh shit, my microphone fell. But yeah, I can't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one that was. I'd have to go back and
well,
it's hard to say.
but in any case, it'll be on the list, Rob, and I'm sure many people in your audience will enjoy watching it again because that's a good one. And number 7, I don't know if you've heard of this website called My Lunch Break, this YouTube channel, My Lunch Break. They ask questions about the United States Capitals, and it's hilarious. It's like 6 minutes long. And, if you don't know the stories, the U.S. Capitals seem to be all built remarkably in ways that we wouldn't even dare to try today. And somehow they were all done before power tools in 1895, and they were built by prisoners. So I don't want to steal the guy's thunder. He does an excellent job. And I also like the video he does about Richmond, Virginia. That's a good one too. It's called My Lunch Break. And number 8 is from the website St. Olga 69. And it's John Whitberg discussing breakaway civilizations. Just totally mind-blowing. I won't even comment further. One of my favorite videos of all time. I'm on number 9 now. And I listed the Imagination Podcast homepage, which is a platform for survivors and whistleblowers. This content.
Yeah, I want to have her on my show, the host.
Yay!
Because we talk about a lot of these things. Like I have a lot of target individuals and,
Yes.
and SRA and stuff and SSP, and she seems like she has the same thing. She even goes a little bit more hardcore, but I like her. I like her channel a lot. Like I like her style. I want to have her as a guest on my show. I'm going to try to reach out to her. I think I should.
That is awesome, Rob. I'm so excited to hear that. Yeah, I'm going to repeat some of the things you just said. This content is not for everyone, and this content is not for children. Somewhere, one of the guests talks about anti-gravity. It's a lady, and she talks about how someone put her in some kind of laboratory and turned off the gravity just to see what would happen as an experiment. So it tells me, that people are messing around with anti-gravity. It was like a 2-hour-long episode, and she just kind of throws that in there. And then there was another one. It was a German fellow named Nicholas, And if you like Donald Marshall videos, then you would like listening to this guy. He talks about life in the deep underground bases and cloning. But if you could just pay attention to the healing part, he has some great messages about healing, which he says he learned from blue Arcturians.
Wow.
And then I'd like to say that Emma and all guests are so brave. You're right, Rob. The similarities and the interest that you two have. I admire that lady so much, and I admire every single person that comes on that show. They are so brave to come out and tell their story like that. It's great.
Yeah, she has a great show. I like her. I've never met her yet, but I mean, I like her show a lot.
Well,
So big shout out to the Imagination Podcast.
Yeah, that's right. You're right on. Imagination Podcast. I'm probably going to send that lady an email when I'm done talking to you. So my final.
Tell her that I want to have her on my show.
Yeah, now I got something to tell her about. So sure, I'll CC you, Rob, for sure. All right. And so my last video is the Florence Scovel Shinn Magic Path of Intuition. Change your brain patterns and your life with affirmations. So those are the videos I wanted to present today. I hope people enjoy browsing through them, and maybe it'll bring some ideas to people that they hadn't thought of before. And then, Rob, I'd like to give some shout outs to some people that helped me personally and professionally, and they were guests on your show.
Okay, but first I just want to tell people all those videos that Ray just talked about, he sent me a list with all the links, and I'm going to put the links in the description. I just haven't been able to put the links in the description because we went live right from Zoom, and Zoom doesn't let me put a description, description, and I have to put it in afterwards. So after this video is over, I'll go in, I'll find the email that he sent me with all the links, and then I'll put a link to all those videos that Ray just talked about. And then you guys can have them and you can peruse them and check them all out. So thank you for telling. Those all sound like really good videos, Ray. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Rob, thank you. I appreciate you helping me so much, and I'm glad I'm doing a good job for you so far.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. So I want to tell you about some guests that you've had on your show that I hired. One was Ms. Margot.
I love Ms. Margot. She's awesome. The bone reader.
Yes. And I'd like to say her email is indianspiritstore@gmail.com. So I want to thank Ms. Margot so much. I want to thank Bonnie Saratore. Do you remember Bonnie Saratore?
Yeah, but everybody likes Bonnie. People have emailed me and said that they really got that Bonnie's helped them a lot. You're not the only one who said that. There's been multiple people who said that Bonnie's like really taking them to the next level. So it's interesting you say that,
There's something very special about that person for sure. And there's another person, everyone knows her, Dr. Margie K.
Yeah. A lot of people have been talking about Margie K lately too. She's really advanced in psychic abilities, and she's been around for a while. She kind of bridges the gap between old school ufology and psychic abilities and new school stuff, which you don't see a lot today. There's a couple people that do that, like Sean David Morton was one of them. He could do that. He would talk about like old school ufology, but then he would talk about new stuff too. I'm trying to think of other people that kind of do that. Not too many come to mind, but Margie's one of them. You know what I mean? She's in touch with like the new generation and the old generation. Because I don't know if you've noticed there's a gap in like there's like the old school ufology people who they don't really believe in the secret space program. They don't want to acknowledge it that much. Then there's like the secret space program crowd that like all knows each other and stuff like that. Whereas me, I have both people. I have all the people on my show. I try to have everyone on my show. You know what I mean? I
can't wait to have Val Thor on your show. I mean, everyone shows up on your show.
That would be hilarious if I had Val Thor on my show. That would be great.
So about Margie K, I think that lady needs a Congressional Medal of Honor for the way she helps law enforcement and she locates missing people. And Margie K gave me a lesson on my chakras, which I didn't know anything about. And getting a lesson on your chakras from Margie K, Dr. Margie K, it's kind of like having Rick Barry teach how to do free throws or having Terry Bradshaw teach you how to be bald.
Yeah.
All right. So
that was funny.
Yeah, a little Steeler joke for you. All right. Terry Bradshaw, Super Bowl champion so many times. And whenever they talk about great quarterbacks, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, hey, don't forget Terry Bradshaw. All right.
He's from my city. I'm from Pittsburgh. Terry Bradshaw played for the Steelers. He was like one of the first, like really before there was Roethlisberger, there was Terry Bradshaw, Why is this targeting going on outside my house? Who's running this bullshit? They always have to run some bullshit outside my house when I'm doing something. Like it's so crazy. These people were insane. Like, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but I mean,
Oh, we've all been there. I'm so sorry. But I bet that, someone outside probably hears that you're having a good time and they're all, oh, Rob's not going to have a good time. I'm going to put a stop to that right now. How many times has that happened? So,
yeah.
anyway, let's focus on the fun we're having. Rob, I got something called science fiction stand-up. Now, some of these are old jokes put in a science fiction or secret space program setting. It's satire, like what Mel Brooks did with that movie Space Malls.
Spaceballs.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Thank you. So, Rob, this is your show. So before I begin, I want to ask your permission. Do I have permission to tell a funny story about the dogman species?
Sure, that'd be awesome.
Chewbacca,
Yeah,
gray alien clones,
that sounds good.
Klingons,
That sounds good.
Draco and off-world Germans,
That sounds awesome.
C-3PO and Jabba the Hutt.
Sounds even better.
All right, here we go. So the first, I'm going to talk about the dogman species. And I'm going to tell it John Whitberg style, as if I have an altar that lives on a spaceship orbiting another star. Here I go. Once upon a timeline, one of my clone alters is a teacher on a gigantic spaceship orbiting the Tabby star. This clone alter of mine shares a dorm room with a soldier who is one of the dogman species. He's a dogman. He lets me call him Fido. The point is, he comes when I call him. I have memories of this dogman soldier coming home from work every day. When I would ask him, how was your day? He would say, rough.
That's funny.
Yeah. My clone alter has been on the spaceship so long, it's not like he's seen a tree in forever. I remember him asking the dogman Fido, what do you call that stuff on the outside of a tree? He said, bark. The dogman named Fido used to work at the fire station, but now he was in the fleet. The dogman named Fido was a big fan of ship design, particularly the fronts of ships. Whenever he sees the fronts of some of these ships, he's the first to shout out, bow wow, bow wow. All right. Here is a riddle. Why did Chewbacca grow a mustache?
I don't know.
Because he wanted to look like his mother. Now, someone might say, come on, that's a space race joke. Other people, including me, would say it's not a joke at all, but for different reasons. Have you seen Chewbacca's mother? I think it's a fitting tribute from a loving son. Chewbacca, may he rest in peace in that reality where a moon crashed into him. I don't know why, but now all of a sudden, I can't stop thinking about Michael Jordan's mustache. I can never unsee that.
That's funny. That's really funny.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. Here we go. Here's another riddle, Rob. Why do Klingon males die before their female mates?
I don't know why.
Because they want to. Now, I was going to make that joke about Draco males, but I know the network would never allow it. I'm not going to be the one ushering in disclosure with space race jokes. I'm pretty sure there's Draco males out there saying, yeah, that little earthling, that little Italian-American earthling knows of the reality of which he speaks. I like Italian food, but I'm not going to eat this guy, not yet. Maybe he'll make some more jokes to save his life. Those jokes make me laugh, and that's a feeling I would like to explore more. Meanwhile, I'm thinking the Draco females are also probably totally cool with it. They're probably glad I'm making sure everyone understands. And I also think I made a bunch of off-world Germans laugh. I bet I made a bunch of off-world Germans laugh when they were trying hard not to laugh because they're off-world Germans. All right, here's another one. Once upon a timeline, a young gray alien asks an old gray alien, where do new gray aliens come from? The old gray alien says, new gray aliens come from a cloning tank. The young gray alien asks, yeah, who inseminates the cloning tank? Handler, please. Oh. I should have waited for your laughter there. These are all Henny Youngman jokes, right? And some of those were Gilbert Gottfried. But when you put them in space, now everyone gets to enjoy the jokes again. Take my handler, please.
Take my handler, please. I like that. That's hilarious. Take my handler, please.
That should be on a t-shirt, right? We should make t-shirts. Okay.
That's funny.
All right, here's the end of my comedy, if anyone thinks this is funny. Finally, some scientific remarks on the size and weight of Jabba the Hutt. It sounds like I'm roasting a science fiction space monster, but if you think about it using quantum physics and basement universe technology, let me repeat that for you, basement universe technology, it actually all makes sense. It's straightforward exposition. To make it sound more authentic and scientific, I'm doing it in the voice of the famous protocol droid portrayed by Anthony Daniels. Hang on. All right, we're going to test it first. R2 will be sent to the spice mines of Kessel, smashed into who knows what. Oh my. Did that sound up? All right, great. I want to say the students in my class enjoy that one too. All right, so here comes some remarks on how large and heavy Jabba the Hutt is. I hear that Jabba is on a seafood diet. When he sees food, he eats it. Jabba is so large and heavy that when he gets into an elevator, it has to go down. Jabba is so large and heavy that he has two smaller huts orbiting him. When he goes to the movies, he sits next to everyone. When he dances, he makes the band skip.
Oh my God.
You have to wake up, you have to grow up in the 70s to get that joke. Okay. His cereal bowl comes with its own lifeguard. His driver's license says picture continued on other side. His yearbook photo was an aerial photograph. All right. Those conclude my prepared remarks. Rob, do you have a chat going? Does anyone have a question or a comment in the chat?
There's like 21 people watching. We had 30 at one point, but some people dropped out because it's 4th of July. People are probably cooking out and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I hope they're having a good time.
But a lot of people watch later. The people always do.
Yeah, that's
I always
right.
get like a couple thousand views every video. Some videos have been getting like 5,000 views. Some do better. Some do. It just depends. You know what I mean? Like so a lot of people see it for sure. It's just it's just I don't. Usually, it depends. Sometimes I get a lot of live audience. Sometimes I don't. It really depends. Flix Love says Ray is a ray of light. And then not one iota says Ray's on another level, hey. And then Woo Rider says this is the type of friend you need around when your old lady cheats on you.
All right. I appreciate it very much. Those are some of the best compliments I've ever heard. So let me see if I've got I don't really have anything else there, Rob. So if you're ready, I'll go into my closing remarks.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay. Let's see.
And while Ray's preparing that, guys, I just want to know for the people that are watching, I do have another show today. And it's a really good one. I have Nathan Sizek and Pat Jackson coming on for a MyLab panel. So I'm sure a lot of people will tune in for that too. But I mean, it's 4th of July. So again, I don't know who's going to tune in or what. But I mean, it is going to happen. It's going to happen in an hour. It's 4 p.m. Eastern. So that's happening. So that should be good.
That is awesome that you're bringing us this on July 4th, Rob. Thank you so much. And I enjoy it when Nathan's on the show too.
I'm gonna go for a cookout after I'm done. So because I told Nathan, I said I can only do an hour. I said because it's 4th of July and my friend invited me for a cookout. So I was like, I want to go get some food at some point because I just went for a run. And when I went for a run, I was smelling all the grills. Like everybody had their grill fired up. You know what I mean? I could smell burgers and hot dogs. And I haven't been eating meat a lot, but I mean, it smelled so good. I'm not going to lie. It smelled so good. I was like, man, I wanted to jump in someone's backyard, jump in the pool, ready for a cookout. You know what I mean? Like that's what the 4th of July is all about. You know,
you should have pulled a Ferris Bueller and just ran through the backyards and grabbed stuff. Well, I hope you have a good time.
That's why I honestly love America. I mean, I really do because like we have like things like this, like the 4th of July, and it is pretty amazing. You know, when you're like walking around and you can smell all the grills and like we're all lighting off fireworks and some people are annoying, but like overall it's happy, like people still know how to have fun. I think like it's still a good time. The elites haven't ruined everything. Is what
Or if anything, if they're behind July 4th, I'm going to say thank you for July 4th because, like you said, it's such a wonderful cultural event. And historically, it's important to me it means a lot to me, July 4th.
Oh yeah, I'm not very political, but I'm a big patriot. Like,
Yeah,
my dad was in the Vietnam War and my grandfather was a prisoner of war in World War II. So I'm like real patriotic. I'm just not very political, if that makes any sense.
totally, Rob, totally. Um, well, Rob, I've had so much fun talking to you. I look forward to doing it again sometime. Thanks for having me on your show. Um, your show, as I've mentioned, has changed my life. I have nothing to share or sell, but if you want to say hi or talk about my presentation, my email address is in the description. Thank you so much, Rob, for putting that in later. If you enjoyed my appearance on the Typical Skeptic podcast, I hope you will let Rob know with a donation. Everyone knows how hard Rob works at this. Rob puts out more shows in a week than there are days in a week. So I'm asking for help for Rob. May I suggest at minimum sending Rob some goodwill? When you find yourself realizing how much you enjoy and appreciate what Rob does, that is the time to wrap that energy into a sphere and to send it Rob's way. And also, I'm calling out Rob's viewers and fans off planet too. I no longer have any doubts that there is an off planet and that there are civilizations of all kinds bursting with life out there. And I know that if Rob has Penny Bradley and Colonel Randy Kramer on the Typical Skeptic podcast, then people are watching this podcast off planet. So come on, off planet team. I'm asking for your help with Rob's mission. And with Rob's permission, I'd like to sing a patriotic song to conclude the program.
That sounds good.
One moment, please.
That's awesome, Ray.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks, everybody. Have a great July 4th. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Happy 4th, everybody.
Wow, that was amazing, Ray. That
Thanks
was
a lot, Rob.
amazing.
All right, it sure was a lot of fun. I hope you have a good time tonight, whatever you do.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you. This was awesome.
Right on. Likewise, you're my Anunnaki brother from another mother.
Yeah, but let's do this again, Ray, for sure.
All right, I'll be in touch. Sounds good, Rob. I'll talk to you later.